Hey, what's up, everyone? How's it going? We have a great episode today. Just Roger and I, we're going to talk about Lorwyn Eclipse. Roger's lore corner for Lorwyn Eclipse is back. We're back to magic lore once again. But don't get used to it because after that, we got the Ninja Turtles where there is no lore magic wise. Then we'll be back with Strixhaven lore, and then no lore for a while because we got two sets after that. That's Universes Beyond, Reality Fracture. Excited for whatever that is, and then Star Trek. So, and then we're gonna talk about the Magic World Championship. There was some debate, some stuff that happened that we can discuss what was going on. And then the deck that won the Magic World Championship. And then if we have extra time, we'll go into the Marvel superhero set previews. But before we get into any of that, I also want to let the viewers know about a giveaway that's currently ongoing right now. So I'll link the video where the giveaway is taking place somewhere in the screen if possible, or in the video details, and or you can just find it in my channel. It's got a big giveaway title, basically giving away a Avatar Commanders bundle to a lucky viewer. So if you want to get in on that, make sure you go to that video and comment in that video. All right, so Roger, let's go. Lorwyn Eclipse, really excited. There's seems to be an incredible amount of hype for this set, rightly so. I'm really hyped for this set. Now that we get too much Universes Beyond, anytime we get a little bit of Universes Within, I'm always really excited. Also excited to pay a little bit less for Magic the Gathering products once again. So Roger, please give us the lore, the quick take of what's going on with Lorwyn Eclipse as far as we know, for those who are too lazy to listen to all of the audio books or the audios that they have out there.
Cool, yeah. So first, I want to travel back and see what happened in Lorwyn originally and how it ties back to this story and where it's going to lead us in the future, which is all really, really cool. But so the plane of Lorwyn takes uh, place on the plane Lorwyn, which switches from night and day. But it's all based around Celtic folklore, which is inspired by Irish, English, Welsh, Scottish stories, but mostly focuses on Welsh folklore. So we have our old heroes, which is Riz or Rise, or there's a lot of ways people interpret the name, but he was an elf. Also Ashling, which was a flamekin, Brigid, which was the kithkin, Marilyn, which was an elf, who was sort of a puppet in that. And then also they had Sig, which was a merfolk. They had Kolfanor, which was a yew, also known as a tree folk. And they had the Vendilion Clique, which was a mischievous band of three fairies, Ileona, Visa, and Endry. And they also had Una, Queen of the Fairies. Now, why are all these people important to the story? Well, Una, before the Great Aurora was going to be shattered, she kind of controlled the entire plane, and she didn't want to lose control of the giant plane. And we're going to get into what that means in a little bit, but I want to continue talking about the different characters. We had Brian, Stout Arm, and Keel, who were giants. Also, part of the leaders of the elves, Riz was the leader of elves until he became an eye blight, which means that he lost his beauty and then had to try to regain control of his destiny and and that's how the kind of story went on. But something happened outside of Lorwyn that kind of made things on Lorwyn very different. So Una had control of the entire night and day cycle for a while. And something happened outside of that where very powerful beings created something called the Mending of Dominaria, which happened with Teferi and it happened with Karn. And this was all happening outside of the plane, but it affected the entire multiverse because what Teferi and Karn were trying to do was trying to repair things called time rifts that were kind of happening to the entire multiverse, right? So the final events of the spiral block, which largely took place on Dominaria, involved the closing of the time rifts, where it was threatening to tear the entire multiverse apart. And let's remember that the multiverse is the inner part of the magic circle, right? Then it's the blind eternities, and then it's the edge of eternity. So they were really only trying to focus on that first inner part, the inner layer. The closure of the rifts, or subsequently re-stabilization of the multiverse, set a massive wave of magical energy that changed fundamentally the physics of the entire the entire multiverse across all the planes, right? Now, the mending also altered planeswalkers because they used to be godlike powerful, right? They were super, super powerful. But then they all got nuked after the mending of Dominaria. So, Una's control. Prior to Lorwyn's story, the plane was supposed to have a natural cycle between day and night, which was Lorwyn and Shadowmoor, right? Shadowmoor is the nighttime, and Lorwyn is the daytime, right? But Una made those centuries long because she was so powerful. But when the Great Aurora was being affected by the mending of Dominaria, it she didn't know what was going to happen. She didn't know if she was going to die. She didn't know what was going to happen. So a lot of things triggered her to lose control of the entire plane's day and night cycle, right? So that's where the central conflict happens in Lorwyn, and the protagonists, Reese, Brigitte, and everyone else I mentioned, were trying to survive the breaking of the Great Aurora and trying to stop Una from trying to take over again the day and night cycle. So that was just the short description of like what happens in the old kind of like storyline of Lorwyn. Another thing happened, which is the Phyrexian invasion, right? So the invasion of of the Phyrexians was caused by Elish Norn, right? And Elish Norn needed a way to invade every plane. And in order to do that, she took over and modified the world tree in Kaldheim, right? So we were in the plane of Kaldheim, we learned about the world tree, and we learned about these ways that you can travel between different planes, and the tree connected all the different planes, right? But once the Phyrexians took control of it, it became what's known as Realm Breaker, right? So Realm Breaker physically pierced the boundaries between the blind eternities, sinking its roots into almost every known plane, and this forced open countless of planar breaches, which are now called omen paths, right? So that's why we have all these omen paths, and we have kind of like the universes beyond thing coming through the omen paths and all that stuff. But really, it was because of the Phyrexian invasion, right? So this isn't a space-time rift. This is a reality break, right? So through Realmbreaker, it was eventually severed, but the trauma that it suffered and the entire multiverse, it hasn't completely healed. So there's all these random openings happening in all the different planes, um, which is kind of interesting. But this also caused a new magical wave around all the other planes, and a lot of planeswalkers lost their spark, right? So it's known as desparking. So when we have the adventures with Jace, we learn in Aether Drifts that they're trying to find the different omen paths with the help of loot in order to get to different places because they can't travel by themselves as much anymore. Jace could, he still has a spark, but there's a lot of planeswalkers who do not have their sparks. So where does that land us now in today's story of Lorwyn, right? Now, today's story of Lorwyn actually begins in Arcavos, which is the home of Strixhaven University, right? And we get a batch of new heroes because a lot of time has passed during this time. So our new heroes are Abigail, Sinar, who is a goblin, Abigail is the owl, Tamara, who is a gorgon, and Cairo, who is a vampire. Now, a lot of these beings, except for the goblin, haven't been seen on the plane of Lorwyn, so they look really weird. So they stand out when they get into Lorwyn. But what happens at the beginning of the story is the kids are actually doing this little like um, teaching kind of like moment
Wait,
where they're
so
outside.
is it
Mhm.
these guys right here, these characters, or no? Who are these people?
Those guys actually, I'm not sure if who these people are, but these are not our protagonists because there's no vampire in this. There's actually a changeling, a kithkin, an elf, and a goblin in this specific story. So these are not the characters that were centered around the beginning of this story.
This is
But
this
the
a
story is
merfolk?
that actually looks like a changeling because of the eyes. So you'll notice the changelings because of the way that they're actually made, which is kind of crazy. So
Okay.
like they have like the big yellow eyes, and they're kind of bluish in nature, but they do change into things. So it might be transformed into a merfolk, but you'll still know that it's a changeling because of its eyes. And that was something that the art directors really wanted to capture and that they feel like they did successfully. So if you find another changeling, you're gonna know it's a changeling because of the eyes. But it could totally be a merfolk, and I'm totally wrong here. um, so these kids are out with their teacher, and they're just kind of looking for stuff, and they stumble upon this opening, and they fall through it, right? So, the story introduces two godlike entities that are a result of Una's downfall. Remember, she lost control during the Lorwyn and actually was defeated, right? Um, and what ended up happening was it created two godlike beings. One is Irdu, the carrier of the dawn, which is the incarnation of the sun and the Lorwyn aspect. And the other one is Isilu, the carrier of twilight, and it's the incarnation of the moon and the Shadowmourn aspect. So wherever they walk, it becomes that part of the plane. And in the story, Isilu is supposed to be sleeping, right? It's not Isilu's time to be walking around and making everything nighttime. But these kids falling through the Omen path, one, they weren't supposed to fall through the Omen path. They were just kind of chilling, hanging out, observing things out in Strixhaven, and they just fell into the Omen path because they were chasing a fairy, right? And how did the fairy get into Strixhaven? Well, it's these Omen paths randomly opening everywhere. So if you remember on Tarkir, they had all the dragon storms that kept coming up and coming up. It's this after the Phyrexian invasion and after Realmbreaker, just all of these realities are fractured, which is a good segue to say that at the end of the year, we're going to get a set called Reality Fracture. So this is all leading up to this even bigger event, which is super cool. I think it's super amazing. I think everyone should go watch and listen to the different stories because Magic the Gathering is putting out the different stories. Something cool is that when Lorwyn came out, Lorwyn was the first set where they introduced the type Planeswalker, right? And our first five Planeswalkers were introduced in there. And each one was going to represent a color, but they weren't going to be a part of the story. Well, now the writers are bringing those Planeswalkers into the story, which is really cool. We've already seen two, Liliana Vest, because she is Professor Onyx on Strixhaven, and she has to take care of these students, so she may make an appearance in Strixhaven.
Why
And
why
mhm.
is she called Professor Onyx? Is that like a fake name?
Yeah, Professor Onyx is a fake name that was introduced in Strixhaven because it was after they did the War of the Sparks. She wanted to go back home where she kind of grew up and she learned magic. She actually went to Strixhaven herself. But she didn't want to continue using her Liliana of the Vest because that was her dark side. That was the side where she was under control and under contract with these demons, right? The interesting part is that the last demon or the last entity that owned her contract, it all defaulted back to Nicol Bolas. So she had to defeat Nicol Bolas in order to break her final contract, which she believes she did. Everyone believes that Nicol Bolas is dead except for the two people that know exactly what happened, which is Ugin, the spirit dragon, and Jace, the mind sculptor, right? What they did was instead of kill Ugin, they trapped
Kill
Ugin.
Nicol Bolas, you
Sorry,
mean?
sorry, Nicol Bolas. Instead of killing Nicol Bolas, they trapped Nicol Bolas, and Ugin said he was gonna be kind of the guard to make sure that Nicol Bolas never escaped.
When did that ever work out in any story ever?
Right? So we learned in Tarkir that they go into the meditation zone and Nicol Bolas escapes because Jace is trying to do some crazy thing in order to fix what happened after the Phyrexian invasion to bring the Realmbreaker and everything that's happening back into kind of like harmony with each other, right? All the multiverse. Because right now the multiverses are just kind of smashing into each other through the Omen paths, right? And that's why we're seeing all these like where Isilu walks or where Erdu walks. You have the night and day cycle, but also you have all these people just falling into different planes because these paths are just opening randomly, right? The other planeswalker we see in the recent stories is Ajani. Ajani comes to tell Liliana that Jace is dead, which we don't know if Jace is dead. We don't know where Jace is, but it looked like he just kind of like um, kind of melted during Tarkir, which was kind of crazy.
Kind of like how
Melted.
the Wicked Witch in Wicked faked her death by pretending to melt. Jace faked his death pretending to melt, but he's actually alive under a different name, right? Probably something like that. I get it. It's all the same story.
Probably. I feel like we're gonna get him back because we see a figure in the reflections, and maybe he's in somewhere where he's not supposed to be, but he's like more powerful than he's ever been. But we don't know that. But
Kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi after Darth Vader struck him down in the duel on was it A New Hope on the
yeah,
Death Star, and after that he became more powerful than you could ever imagine. Something like
that's
that.
exact. Yes,
Yes.
I think it's exactly that.
Oh, we've seen
Which
this
is cool.
story before.
So we're all these stories. It's kind of cool how they're bringing them all together. I love that Johnny went to go visit Liliana because he wanted to tell her that Jace is dead, but more importantly, he wanted to tell her that Nico Bolas is out. And what they haven't told us yet, and what they haven't revealed in the story, is does Liliana still have her spark?
What about
Which is going to
Johnny?
be interesting. Johnny, he has to travel through the Omen paths. So I believe he doesn't have his spark, especially because we didn't get a Johnny Planeswalker card during the Aether Drift set, right? We got the Chandra Planeswalker card. We didn't get a Johnny Planeswalker card.
Who were the five original planeswalkers that came out in the original Lorwyn set?
It was Liliana, Jace, a Johnny for blue, Garuk for green, and Chandra for black for red. Sorry,
A Johnny for white.
a Johnny for white. Yep.
Okay, got it.
Which is another crazy thing because Garuk, he's also he's an Eldraine but lost. Like who knows the storyline of Garuk and where he's going and what's happening with Garuk? It's crazy, dude. It's really really cool, man.
Okay, all
Um,
right.
it's exciting.
Well, thank you, Roger. Really exciting. There's a lot of hype for the Lorwyn set. Uh, for many different reasons. Great art, cool story, universes within. Everybody loves. I watched. There was like that video that Wizards of the Coast put out, one of their weekly MTG videos, and they were talking about the art in the set, or just talking about the set in general, and
Yeah.
and I forgot exactly what they said, but they were really talking about like how they what they were thinking about when they wanted, like, for the art direction for the set, and how the things wanted to look and everything like that, and it does look really incredible, the art. So yeah, excited for the set. People are really excited. The cards are selling very well right now for a Universes Within set. So I'm interested to see if this is going to do better than Edge of Eternities, because Edge of Eternities did really well. I do think this is going to do better than Tarkir Dragonstorm in terms of financial financial aspects for the sealed product, at least. So really quickly, let's take a quick look at some of the few previews from Lorwyn Eclipse, the cards that came out. Have you seen all of these yet? So we got a bunch of
No,
Vampire Cleric, very interesting. Hybrid manas. Go ahead.
I was gonna say this is Kirill. This is one of the main students that
Oh,
went
this
through
is
the
that
Omen path.
vampire you're talking about, right?
Yeah, now I actually see him. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
Okay, and then we have Perfect Intimidation. Target opponent exiles two cards from the. Oh, you can choose both. Exile two cards or remove all counters from target creature. Oh yeah, so you see this elf, the High Perfect Morcant.
yep.
This elf is nuts. Look at this card. 4 mana, 4/4. When it ETBs or any other elf, each opponent blights one. Blight one? That's Toxrill right there. Put a planet
Yeah.
-1/- counter on each creature they control. And each opponent, so this is going to be commander. This is going to be a commander. Like, people are going to want to build commander decks from this creature.
Evil
Oh, it's
elves.
going to be so nasty. Just, I hate Toxrill. And this is a 4 mana Toxrill now. And worse. Tap 3 untapped elves, proliferate. Oh, great. And then you just keep putting more -1/- counters on everyone's stuff and pumping your stuff. So yeah, that's a really powerful card.
So these two cards actually highlight the story. Abigail here in the blue card, Unexpected Assistant. She's traveling through the river trying to get to where she needs to get to, but she gets separated. And then there's these like evil merfolk because they're in the darkness that are kind of like going after her. And there's one good merfolk who is still in the light that kind of saves her and like takes her to where she needs to be. Who I'm guessing is Sig, but we haven't heard who it is. I haven't heard today's story, so I'm
Who's
really
Abigail?
interested.
Is it this owl?
The owl, yeah, she's one of the Strixhaven students. Yeah, that fell
Okay.
through.
Okay,
And then
cool.
the High Monarch, she is now the new leader of the elves, which means she's super powerful, which makes sense why her card is really
This
strong.
person,
I really like
Morkant.
Morcant. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
She's like the and it's cool that they say each opponent blights because, like I said, eye blights are ugly elves because the elves in this storyline think that they're so perfect that they're actually kind of evil. So they think they're so perfect, and anything that's not perfect is ugly, and that's what an eye blight is. So they blight you. They give you -1, -1 counter.
So we're getting
It's
convoke on spells, on instants and sorceries again, which I think the last time we had that was March of the Machines, and that was really fun, especially on instants, because you could appear to not have enough mana to cast something, but you have
Mhm.
creatures, and then you can cast these instants, which that was really fun to play in limited, especially. So we have one convoke here, 5 mana, draw 3, discard a card with convoke. Very powerful card, especially for limited, which is what I'm always focusing on. Sorry for anyone who gets confused by me saying these not so powerful cards are powerful. I'm always focused on limited. Formidable Speaker, 3 mana, 2/4 elf druid. When it enters, discard a card. If you do search your library for a creature, put it into your hand and shuffle. Well, it's like a tutor for a creature. Untap target permanent. Okay. The lands, the beautiful lands. Look at these lands. Oh my
Yep.
god. Temple Garden. So this is green white. Wow, the dark side version, like you can't even tell that what. Like it's really hard to tell what colors these are by the picture. And
Yeah.
they don't have a mana symbol in the text box, so also makes it really hard. You have to read Forest Plains, so it's a little confusing there, but I'm just gonna give them a pass because the art is really cool. I especially like the dark side of everything. I like how it's like very illuminated. Steam vents, wow, look at the backside of steam vents, so cool.
It looks crazy.
Yeah, with that moon or sun or whatever. I think it's a sun, the eclipse, right? In
Uh-huh.
the sky. That's really awesome. Steam Vent's gonna be worth probably the most out of all of these. It definitely, especially with is it, and we're gonna get to is it as a color combination and standard. They just won. Is it Lessons just won the world championship? I mean, even before that, the VV deck is also Is it. If you look at all of the cards that were banned this year, I think most of them are red.
Yeah, what was the name of that equipment that like made like
Oh yeah,
little
Corey Steel.
tokens?
So Corey Steel Cutter got banned,
Always
which is
still.
red. We got Prof's Eidetic Memory, which is blue, also in Is It. We got VV that got banned. Screaming Nemesis, not in Is It, but also a red card that got banned. Heartfire Hero, the mouse in the mono red deck got banned. It's just everything getting banned is red. Okay, we have Hollow
Yeah.
Fountain, Blood Crypt. So that's yeah, this Blood Crypt one on the other side. I mean, it looks too similar to the front side one. So I don't know about this one right here, but it's okay. Bitterboom Bear. So okay, wait. Do we know anything about what this? So like, what is a bitter bloom bearer? Like, is there someone has to bear this bitter bloom, and like, is there a story behind this?
I'm not sure if there's a story behind it, but what is interesting, all right, so we talked about Merowyn the elf, right? So her story is that she's getting married in the beginning of the Lorwyn story, and then something happens where they get attacked, and she ends up dying. But instead of dying, Una wanted to create a clone of herself, right? Because she didn't know what was going to happen in the Great Aurora. So she used Merowyn's dead body in order to copy herself, right? And this was going to be a puppet that if Una would die, she would kind of like be reborn in the body of Merowyn, right? So right now, Merowyn, that's an elf, is actually the leader of all of the fairies because she's a fairy, right?
Because she's Una.
She's Una, but she hasn't become Una yet. But in the story, she's going into madness because she's starting to hear laughter in her mind, and she's starting to see these flowers. But the flowers are iconic to Una because Una was kind of built like her body shape, and if you see all the photos, you see the flowers. And she's thinking that the only time I've ever seen these flowers is because Una was around. So
Hmm.
maybe Bitter Bloom Bearer um, is kind of depicting that she's like the bearer of Una, kind of like this, but it's like she doesn't want to turn into Una because Una is evil. So yeah, it's a whole thing. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm reaching. I don't know, but it's a cool card.
Mm-hmm. And then we have these type of I don't know what they're calling this kind of mechanic, but where you kind of level up the creature. Got that coming back. Kindred Instant. So I think there's a new name for this stuff, but it's just like a instant or sorcery that has a creature type, right? And
Yep.
this one is elemental. We got changelings. So much stuff going on in this set. And look at this card, Emptiness. Oh yeah, and Evoke. People love Evoke.
Yeah.
Look at this card. Look how cool that looks.
Yep.
And that card looks really powerful. Deceit. So it looks like there's gonna be maybe 5 of these, one for every color pair.
Yo, um, if you go up to the changeling on the right, on the left, sorry, right here, mutable explorer.
Mm-hmm.
Are changelings like part land? Like, can they be lands?
I have no idea, but this card is really interesting because you create a tapped Mutavault token. So that's really, I don't know, who knows, but that's really, really interesting. And then we have the double-sided cards. And you talked about Urdu and Isulu earlier, but you have the double-sided for other legendaries, Ashling, Sig.
Yeah, dude. You know what's cool is that they're bringing back these iconic characters, right? Like Ashling and Sig and Brigitte, who we're starting to meet in the story. But so much time has passed. I love that they're making them all old. So like you'll see their cards and they look like they're older, except for maybe Ashling because she's an elemental. But Sig, he's just got this big old beard now. If you look, if they had the art for Brigitte, she looks super old. Riz or Rise the elf, he's supposed to be dead, but I forget how they extended his life. Like
You,
he's
you mean
supposed to be part of that.
Zuko Redeemed, aka Riz?
Oh yes, yes, yes. Or Rise.
Rise the Redeemed.
Yeah, they people say
Or
the name so.
Riz,
Or
like
Riz, yeah.
the Gen Z term. All right, very interesting. Very excited to see what else we got. One thing I want to know, and I've talked about this, is that I don't see anything so far that's like unique to the collector box for Lorwyn Eclipse. As everything you see here, other than the serialized card, you can actually get in a play booster, which is both cool, like good and bad in a way. So it's good that like I always thought it would be great to be able to get better stuff out of just regular play booster packs or regular packs, right? And it seems like there's a big shift in Magic towards that, because if you even look at Avatar, if you look at other sets that came out recently, they really don't put that much stuff that's that special anymore in the collectors. Like literally now, in the last few sets, they put a lot of neon ink stuff or something similar to like a neon ink treatment of cards, right? So for Spider-Man, we had the costume change. We have neon ink in Final Fantasy, neon ink in Avatar. They put that. And then there's like some whatever the really big chase card is, whether that's a serialized card or cosmic foil, Infinity Stone, or Sothera Singularity foil, those things. But other than that, they do put a lot of good stuff that you can just get in play booster boxes. Like you can get that Fierce Negation in a play booster, right, from Avatar. That
Right.
you could get the Rhystic Study from Final Fantasy in a play booster, right? You can get that Great Henge, Teferi's Protection. All that stuff is in play boosters. The Chrome Mox from Aether Drift, you get that in play boosters. So yeah, they're doing that, which I like. But then at the same time, it's really hurting the collector booster, because why pay 5x or more sometimes for a collector booster when there's really nothing you can get from it, and the odds of hitting a serialized card or something like a neon ink is so low. So really interesting. I think, I don't know, I feel like, is it time to get rid of the collector booster? I hope they do get rid of it. Just put the serialized cards in play boosters and make it extra rare. Let's get rid of the collector boosters. All right, let's move on to.
Interesting.
Did you want to add something about that?
No, no, it is interesting. I wonder, kind of like business wise, like what the move there would be, and maybe they're just kind of like betting on the actual gambling part of Magic, which they
Yeah,
don't admit that it's gambling, but like if you do put those like high value like one of X type of cards, are people just gonna gamble on that and just keep buying that? Like, I don't know. It's crazy. It is
Yeah,
very
I
interesting.
don't know because well, okay, if you look at Avatar, okay, a play booster box of Avatar is gonna right now is about 140 or so, okay,
Yep.
for a play booster box. A collector booster box is crashing hard. I don't know the exact number, but it's in like the mid 300s. So let's say 350, 140.
Oh,
So a
oh,
play booster box is about 40%, like how much the cost is about 40% of a collector booster box. And in the past we would have collector like if you look at let's look at a back in the past, there were universes within this universe beyond, so things are more expensive, more inflated. But let's just go back and look at even look at Aether Drift, which was a set that didn't do well. A
yep.
play booster box is like $100 of Aether Drift, and a collector booster box is $200,
Jeez.
right? But there's nothing you can really get in either of them, so it's not really worth anything. But it's like collector boosters used to be about double, maybe a little bit more than double play boosters, which kind of tracks right now with Avatar where it's at. It's just a little bit more than double the Avatar. So I would say paying, unless it's Final Fantasy, if you're paying 3, 4, 5x the cost of a play booster now that you can get most of the stuff from play boosters for a collector booster, it's probably not worth it. Like paying $700-800 for a Spider-Man collector box. So we see Ninja Turtle collector boxes going for $500 right now. It's just not going to be worth it. It's probably barely worth it at a little over $300. All right, let's move on. Seth Manfield, Magic World Championship, took home first with Is It Lessons. I don't have the exact numbers, but I feel like I heard somewhere that like the top 8 were they like 50-60% all Is It Lessons. After the VV ban, people are still playing Is It. That Lessons deck, what do you think about the Lessons deck? I mean, it's strong. And obviously, I'm not a pro in Standard or anything like that, so I don't have too much. But I played against it a lot on Magic Arena and Standard. Like what I noticed is when I lose to it, they draw out like their entire deck just to kill me, right? Because
Yep.
they use the Monument of Endurance, and they just that accumulate wisdom. This one right here.
Yep.
They're drawing so many cards, they're looting, discarding, and I lose. But when I lose, they're like their whole deck is gone because they've drawn and discarded and looted so much. Like, is that a good deck? I'm sure it is because it won. I know it is because it won. But what I really want to talk about, Roger, is the controversy. Okay, so apparently, what I understand, I didn't read too much into it, is that apparently he had a take back of some sort,
Yep.
maybe more than one,
Yeah.
and
Too.
they allowed it in. So we're talking about the most important, biggest, highest level of Magic, where I
Yep.
don't know how much money is on the line, 100-200K or more, and they're allowing takebacks now. Tell us what happened.
So I watched the entire weekend, and it was actually really great. Actually, the Lessons deck was something that was on nobody's radar because no one knew the Lesson deck existed. It was invented and created. Well, we believe that it was invented and created by Matt Nass, who is an incredible Magic player known for kind of like his like high IQ for mathematics. Like he's very into the numbers and like really plays like combo decks and stuff like that. But he realized that you can make that lesson into like an ancestral recall. In fact, you could cast all your spells for 1 mana, which is kind of crazy. You could even cast the monuments for 0 mana, which is even crazier, right? Because it's non-creature spells cost.
Good old
Yeah.
grand.
So team
And
channel,
artist talent is like super expensive now because of this.
yep. Team Channel Fireball went into the event with this deck that was on nobody's radar. So no one had tech against it, right? No one could tech against it. And they had other Is It decks. They had the Is It Otters deck, and they had the combo deck, and then they had various
Did
forms.
they have the one with Duelist of the Mind where you're just drawing and looting and attacking?
I believe that was one of the versions. I'm not sure if that's the one that has the tiger shark.
Oh, the Tiger
Uh,
CO or something.
Tiger
Yeah,
seal.
yeah,
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
the
yeah.
one. That is the one.
Okay, so yeah, that one had a huge percentage of showing in the event, and I believe that was the final deck that went against Seth Manfield. If I'm not incorrect, it was Is it against Is it at the end.
But two
Um,
different, is it? Not one. One was lessons and one was not lessons.
yes, one was lessons, one was not lessons, which is really cool actually to see that there was like different versions. It's not just Is it. There's different
True.
versions, but that kind of
Also,
just
also cool to see that Avatar having such a huge impact so quickly.
so this was the thing. A lot of the pros and especially the different teams thought that or believed that the Badger Mole Cub was going to be a problem, so everyone teched against the Badger Mole Cub. But no one had any graveyard tech against this new Lessons deck because it wasn't even on the radar. No one even knew this deck was a thing. So Channel Fireball comes in and they're just sweeping up. They're just like kind of like doing doing their thing and kind of just like taking over this event, but not like a complete takeover. But that deck proved to be very formidable, especially because you could draw out your whole deck, which was a part of the issue, right? So the first Tixie Backsies that Seth Manfield did was a quench, right? His
It'll
opponent,
quench you or whatever, the 2 mana
yeah,
counterspell.
it'll quench you, right? It had to be it'll quench you because it's a lesson, right? Because you want an optimal amount of lessons. So his opponent plays what's the name of the land that doesn't allow you to counter things if you pay
Cavern of
mana?
Souls.
Cavern of Souls, yeah. So he plays Cavern of Souls and he names Spider,
Is he
right?
playing Sultai Reanimator?
The opponent is not playing Sultai Reanimator. He's playing a version of his own type of like Sultai Control type of deck,
Why would
but
you
it's
name
not
Spider?
specifically
What
redesigned.
spider was he trying
Uh,
to cast?
you know the Brood Spinner, the black and green
Yeah,
card.
yeah, yeah. That's in the Sultai
That,
Reanimator deck.
oh, maybe it was Sultai Reanimator, but it's like their own version. Oh yeah, yeah, because he was trying to cast the Spider Man
The
as well.
Spider Man, yeah.
The blue black Spider. So yeah, he was playing Sultai Reanimator. You're absolutely right. Um,
Which by the way, I think is, I don't know if it's favored, but I think it does really well against the Is It deck. The Is It, the Lessons deck.
uh, so throughout the entire event, Team China Fireball kept saying, "We want to face everybody except for the Sultai Reanimator deck because we have such a bad matchup against them."
Yeah.
So
And if you, real quickly while we're on that, if you look at the most recent tournaments or the MTGO challenges, look at this. This is the most recent one that was today. Soul Tyrant Reanimated first and second, 9-0, and then the one that happened yesterday, again taken by Soul Tyrant Reanimator first and second. And I think it's mainly because Soul Tyrant Reanimator is likely favored against this Lessons deck. Look, first and second, Soul Tyrant Reanimator, Soul Tyrant Reanimator. But so yeah, go back. Let's go back to, because we got to end soon. Let's go
yep.
back to the takesy backsy that Manfield did, and would it have cost him the game?
Well, so that's the thing, right? So Seth Manfield thought he was going to lose. He needed to take down game one, and he thought he was going to lose because he knows the matchup is so bad against the Sultai Animator. But he takes down game one, and
Without a
then game
takesy
two
backsy.
without a takesy backseat.
Okay.
Then game two happens where he plays the land, and he tries to quench it, and um, but then he thinks about it because he's all like, wait, did you name Spider? Because his opponent is playing Japanese cards and the different arts. He doesn't realize it. So like if you ever if you're ever on Arena and you play a card and it tells you, are you sure?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
could go, oh, oops, that has word two. I'm not gonna do it. So that's a take back, right?
Sure.
So the judge saw that and then uh, agreed that yes, okay, cool. So this just happened. There wasn't any time elapsed. There was no new information gained. So he allows Seth to take back the quench, right?
Okay.
So he doesn't lose that quench,
Wait, but let me
which
wait. Did he tap his mana and play the quench, or did he just ask, "Did you name Spider?"
he
Before
he goes,
before he taps and plays the quench, or did he already
no
play
no
the quench?
he puts the quench down on the table. He grabs two treasures that were made from the monument, and he starts to move them off to the side. But before they're completely off the screen, he goes, "Wait, did you name Spider?" And
Oh,
then he starts bringing back the treasures and picks up the quench, and then that's when the judge intervenes.
okay.
Um, And they say that's cool, right? So no time elapsed. The treasures weren't completely off, and he hadn't taken his hands off the cards yet, right?
Sure.
Now, the second time it happens, and this is the more controversial one, is on game three, right? He because it's a best of five, right?
Oh,
You
it's
need to
best
win
of
three.
five. Okay.
Yeah. So you get the sideboard, I guess, after a certain amount or whatever. But he's going to they're going into game three. Um, they've sideboarded, and like you said, you can deck yourself. So Seth was all the way down to four cards or five cards in library, and he casts a monument, and he realizes, okay, if I can draw the other monument, I could win, but I'll have to go through all my cards. So he cast a Boomerang Basics, right,
Mm-hmm.
on his own monument.
Okay.
And he leaves it on the monument, and then he puts his hands in his head, and he's just kind of like looking at it. And then 20 seconds elapses, and he goes, "Oh man, can I take that back?" And he talks to the judge, and he tells the judge, "Hey, I cast this card. Can I take it back?" And that's when the judge made the call. Okay, what's going on? What's happened? What's happening? And then he allows Seth to take it back. But if that had resolved, he would have had to draw a card, which meant he would have been one card less in his library, which means he would have lost that match. Because in order for him to win that match, he went down to drawing the very last card in that deck. But that card wouldn't have been there if that Boomerang Basics had resolved.
So okay. Okay. So my thought is on that first one, the quench, fine, nothing happened. But again, it's similar though, right? On the second one, the Boomerang Basics one, also nothing happened though, right?
Exactly. So a lot of people, I've heard other pros talk about it, think that Seth Manfield did nothing wrong. He played the game exactly how he was supposed to play it. Definitely very sloppy. A lot of people are talking about sloppy performance. I have a different take on that, but for time's sake, I'm not even going to talk about it. But Seth did the right thing. Both players were there. The judge was there. They asked the judge. Seth didn't lie. He said, "I cast the card" to the judge.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then both players agreed that he could take it back. Plus, the judge agreed he could take it back. Right?
Both players agreed. Okay, the other guy's too nice. Look, we
Yeah.
gotta we
The other
gotta
guy's
end. We gotta end. But here's what I'm gonna say. First of all, I don't blame Seth. At all, right? Because the judge could have told him no. So he
exactly.
didn't cheat. You know, it's like if you're playing basketball and you foul someone and the ref doesn't call it, play on, right?
So
So
yeah,
like
yeah,
here, he he asked the judge, who's the one responsible for enforcing the rules or whatever the case is, allowed it,
yeah.
then it's fair. Except I feel bad for the opponent, and if I
Yes.
were that person or someone who supports that person or cares about that person or whatever, I would be up in, I would be really pissed off. I feel like, um, I don't know who this person, his opponent is, or whether they said or did anything, but like I feel like they should have said something, right? Just like Seth appealed to the judge for some sort of preference,
Yep.
the opponent should have at least made his case and went like, no, that's not fair, or he cast the spell, right? And maybe in the end, the judge would have still sided with Seth, but at least plead your case because the stakes are so high. This is a lot of money on the line.
The player's name is Ken Yukihiro,
Yeah,
Japanese player.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Ken,
Also,
sorry
like,
Ken, I feel for you,
yeah,
Ken. Uh, all I can say is, it's unfortunate, but it's a lot of money on the line. You gotta at least battle for it.
yeah. Well, so that's the other thing. Like, Seth had that moment with him where it's like, yeah, it's the Japanese land. It's not in English. What if Ken just didn't understand the whole situation that was happening? He just said okay,
True.
which is it's such a feel bad. So I think that's why everyone's like up in arms about it. Although He was already down 2 games. Even if he had taken down that game, who's to
Seth,
say he could
Matt,
take down the next
like
two games
Seth had
already?
already won too. Yeah, so
Yeah,
probably, yeah, but you never know, and
you never know.
and
Yeah,
you will
yeah,
never know. And
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if judges. I mean, look, I don't care too much because I'm never gonna compete in World Championship of Magic or whatever. But I don't know. Like, should the judges be stricter with these pros and with like $100,000 on the line or however much they're playing for? Like, that stuff. I don't know. If it's part of the rules, it's part of the rules. Anyway, sucks
yeah,
for Ken. Sorry about that. Seth, congratulations. Not like they are ever going to hear this or whatever. But yeah, my only advice is to anybody out there who plays in any form of competitive Magic, right? Like, you got to plead your case one way or the other. If you're in Seth's shoes, do exactly what he did. You got to ask. And if you're in Ken's shoes, you got to challenge it. You just
yeah,
can't. Yeah, if there's stuff on the line, that you can't let these things slide.
yeah, yeah. I think so too.
Anyway, all right, gotta go, gotta end it here. We still got all the Marvel stuff to talk about, which is good. More stuff, because it's been a little quiet. Like, I think they said that I don't think we're gonna get many more spoilers until next year, but next year is in like 2.5 weeks or so, and we got the holidays. So it's been a little bit quiet, and no secret lair. It's been almost a month without a secret lair. Can you believe that?
That's kind of crazy. It probably has to do with the Monster Hunter thing. They're trying to like do it right,
Yeah.
but damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. If you want to take part in the giveaway, again, go to the video, comment on that video, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, Roger.
Peace.